All right. You are listening to the Nerd Edification Hour on Alternation Radio. I am Caleb, and with me I have Rachel and Bryce.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Yes, indeed. And in today's show, we will sit you down in the Parents' Corner, and we will educate you on the ERSB rating system and why you should care about it. Through the show, we also have your nerdy news stories and your nerd news. There we go. We will also discuss more news that I myself am particularly excited about. All right here on the Nerd Edification Hour. So, let us begin. Our first little segment, if you will. Rachel has... Sorry, I shouldn't be... Throw paper at me. All right. Rachel will have a Captain America review. So, Rachel, what have you got?
Okay, so this last weekend, I actually saw the new Captain America. I saw Winter Soldier.
I'm jealous, by the way.
It wasn't like planned too far in advance. It just kind of was like, hey, you want to go see it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I had heard a lot of good things about it, but you know, being in the Marvel Universe and how their movies have been going lately, of course, it's going to be met with a certain level of skepticism, especially with the first movie, even though it was good. So I saw it, and I don't want to give away any spoilers, but for those that are really involved in the Marvel Universe, it stayed pretty close to how the comics were. Of course, there were some changes, which is going to happen in any comic to movie. But overall, they were really close. The acting was great. There was that general Marvel humor that occurred. Stan Lee had his cameo, so watch out for him. Watch out.
You always got it's a bonus.
It's always a bonus. I like to play a little game when I see a Marvel movie, and it's called Spot Stan Lee.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way I actually pay attention to some of these. I'm like, where's Stan Lee? Where is he?
He's usually a janitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, in the in the animated Spider-Man show, he's actually a janitor. Which
Yes.
Nice.
He's pretty funny.
Nice.
But out of my rating, just how it was and how close they stayed, and that it was actually a good movie. The directing was great. I loved it. And I had no complaints from the friend that had went with me, and he's a huge comic book buff. So I'd give it 4 out of 5, just because you can't give movies a perfect score.
Never.
But
4 out of 5 what?
Sunshine.
Sunshines.
Yeah.
Yes, because I am a sunshiny person.
Like in Super Mario Sunshine. Maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
But
what I was thinking.
another important thing, so guys, listeners, if you are going to go see it, please stay through the entire credits, because there is 2 scenes. There's one about halfway through,
2.
and then there's one after everything. And it's important to watch both, because it'll reveal something pretty important.
Yeah, thank you, Avengers, for that, by the way, having to... Every movie I go to now, I have to sit through the whole credits. Just,
right.
Is there going to be something else?
Oh, it always happens with Marvel movies. DC, not so much.
I've heard the key to figuring out whether or not there's going to be an extra scene after the credits is whether or not the lights come up after like the movie ends. Like the movie ends, the credit starts. If the lights stay down, then you're probably going to see another scene. But if the lights come up, my understanding is that
a lot of those are they're on timers in movie theaters now.
Well,
so
that makes
and
sense.
a lot of them don't pay attention. The people that the employees that get to see it actually before release date as a preview sort of thing, they don't really pay attention to that. Or if they do, the theater doesn't let them do that anymore.
So basically, it's all a big conspiracy theory, like everything else. Oh man.
Aha!
Well, in honor of this new Avengers movie, we'll be playing "Live to Rise" from Soundgarden, and we'll be right back after this song. Again, that was Soundgarden, "Live to Rise," and now we will have your nerd vocab right here. Yay! Today's word, it is DPS, which is not really a word, is more of a paraphrase, but the rest of it, okay, if you unparaphrase it, it'll be damage per second, you see.
Isn't it like an anagram or something?
I don't know. You're the English major, not me. So.
Ooh, the gauntlet is thrown.
Ooh.
I don't have a gauntlet, though.
You can borrow mine.
Oh, okay.
I always keep mine with me.
Thank you, Bryce. Here.
I have to.
There. I threw the gauntlet. It'll probably get thrown back at me. So, what is DPS? A DPS is a term used with computer games to describe the average rate of damage inflicted over time. The term is especially common in massive multiplayer online role-playing games, MMOs, and RPGs, stuff like that. And a key... MMORPG? Mamakutspi?
For those who...
I'm gonna say Mamakasuka?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. I didn't know what actually that was when I first started playing games. So that's how I pronounced it. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's guilty of that. Let's get real here, guys.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I remember my first MMO. Not really. I don't remember it, but I remember it was overwhelming.
Dark Ages of Camelot. Yeah. I killed rats for what seemed like hours and really didn't get anywhere and I kind of gave up.
Level grinding.
Yeah.
Grinding. That was one of our words way back when. Anyways, so this DPS is a key aspect of Theorycraft, which will be next week's word, definitely. In this circumstance, damage is a scalar quantity that is applied to an in-game opponent. That was very fancy. Just basically, you do a lot of damage really quick. Damage per second. How much damage per second can this one class or character do? Basically.
So really, some additional background with that is a lot of times, like, for example, when you play World of Warcraft, which is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, you typically have 3 types of classes represented. I mean, you have more classes within the game itself, but you have a tank class, a DPS class, and a healing class. Each one is designed to support the other in the jobs and duties that they fulfill while they're playing the games. Healing, will take care of any kind of damage that is inflicted by enemies, bosses, on the players themselves. So they'll, you take some damage, they'll heal you. If you have a tank, basically they're there to absorb the damage and basically contain what's called aggro, which I don't.
We'll cover that one later.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and DPS basically fulfills a damage aspect. A tank might provide some damage while in a battle, but not nearly as much. Oftentimes it's double, triple, sometimes quadruple the amount a tank would do. So, that might help give you a little better understanding of their of DPS's.
In case you haven't figured it out yet. Getting involved in video games, starting out, or even being involved with it on a large scale, it involves a lot of vocabulary.
Yeah, apparently. If you just go on to League of Legends, for example, they'll start yelling these random words, and it's like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I just want to play the game. Is that okay with everyone? You know, just do that? No, apparently not,
okay.
Because then they'll call you a noob. And that's always fun.
Reference to the last show.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all caught that.
With that continuity.
Can anyone guess which noob it is?
I don't know. You want to write it down?
The one with 2 O's.
The one with O's. Indeed. So, now that that's out of the way, like I said, we'll have Theorycraft next week. That's what we'll talk about. Now, I'm really excited about this segment because I just am. I'm screaming like a little girl on the inside, if you can't tell. All right. So, recently, there's been a lot of Super Smash Bros. News. About 2 nights ago, and there was a Nintendo Showcase convention kind of thing, which I was super excited about. But, of course, I was working, so I had to catch everything later. All right. So, there were 4 new characters revealed. There were 2 Pokemon characters, and this was Charizard and Greninja, which Greninja is like 2 of my favorite things put together because I like frogs for some reason, and then I like ninjas. So putting them together and putting them as a character in Super Smash Bros.
For those of you who don't know, Greninja is a Pokemon in Pokemon X and Y.
Thank you. I needed that.
Really? You don't know, Bryce?
I don't do
What's
the
wrong with you?
Pokemans.
I'm sorry.
I'm too old for Pokemans.
Well, I said they
You're
were
never too
Pokemon.
old.
I'm too old.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're never too old for Pokemon.
I just happened to, for me, like, it just so happened that, as I was growing up, I'm a little older than the other 2 on the show. Basically, Pokemon just came out after I, was really in that phase. So,
Right. You just never caught on. That's
yeah. No.
It actually
Just
took
a
me a
little late.
while. It actually took me a while because I was not the most I was not born into a technologically advanced household,
Oh.
like in the middle of the country with nobody. So, anyways,
Would you believe that the very first time I actually ever played any kind of Pokemon game at all was within the last 6 months?
really, and what was that?
It was Diamond, Pokemon Diamond. I bought a Nintendo DS and it came with it, and I played it for like an hour, and then I gave it to a friend.
I'm actually impressed that that was your first time playing.
Well, yes. All right. Also, 2 more characters were revealed, and that was Zero Suit Samus and Sheik.
Yay!
Yeah, and they're both their own characters now. They're both little standalone characters, and they gave Samus jet boots. I'm not too thrilled that they're high heels, though. But who cares? They're jet boots, and she's gonna kick everyone's butt with them. So,
Yeah, I kind of like the concept that they're going to be like their own established characters. You know, in previous editions of Smash Brothers,
they would change in the middle, right?
Yeah, Samus could do a little transformation, and then she could turn into Zero Suit Samus. And I kind of like the idea that they're now 2 separate entities, and I can pick and choose, and I don't have to accidentally transform and forget all my moves for the other thing. And
Can we, for a moment, picture Zero Suit Samus versus regular Samus?
Yeah,
Or-
that's
fancy.
this little time vortex will just suck up everything.
Or
and destroy the
Zelda
game.
versus Sheik?
Oh my goodness. And yeah, Zelda and Sheik and Zero Suit Samus, they all have new moves as well. Like Zelda, she can summon a phantom now with her down B. And again, what Super Smash Brothers is, you've probably heard of it, but you throw in a whole bunch of Nintendo characters together and they just beat each other up, and nobody dies except for you get thrown off the edge, and then nobody dies. It's not violent. Well, I guess it is violent.
Don't you kind of explode when you get
Yeah,
launched
it's
off?
very bright and colorful, so nobody really pays attention to that. Anyway, just go check it out. It's pretty cool. Also, another thing, to put no character will transform in the middle of a match. So, that is because, like I said, Samus and Zelda, they would transform in the middle of a match whenever they could. So, they won't do that now, so you can focus on one moveset.
So none of the characters at all will do that?
Nope.
No.
Oh, that's cool.
Except for if you count, like, Lucario having a Mega Evolution, which is not really a change.
Isn't that like his final move or something?
Yeah, that's his Final Smash.
Yeah.
Which Greninja's Final Smash looks pretty cool, too. He's like, he's flying all over the place, and it looks awesome. I don't care who's in it, I just want the next Smash Brothers. Oh, well, hold on, I'll actually get to that in a second. Alright, so for all the Smash Brothers games, there's usually a Pokeball, which is an item that you can use. And for those of you who, again, know about Pokemon, the Master Ball will be present, so that way you can tell if a rare Pokemon is in it or not. So a Master Ball is basically a ball with
Legendary?
yes, it has a legendary.
Oh, so in previous editions when you saw a Pokeball,
You never knew what came out.
You
but
just got a Pokemon, period, and then
Yeah.
randomized Pokemon, and then
And it
in
helps
this
you.
new edition, then I presume that a normal Pokeball will still give you the random chance for it, but if a Master Ball shows up, you know that if you break it or throw it at somebody, it's gonna unleash a
Yes.
legendary Pokemon.
Oh. It will definitely make things happen. That's for sure.
All right,
That'll be interesting.
cool.
So the 3DS version will be released this summer, which I'm really happy for. And the Wii U version will be released in the winter, which is like a semi-smart move by Nintendo because hey, look, here's the reason they get the Wii U for Christmas.
Yeah. Very smart
You know.
marketing ploy. Another thing about it, the 3DS version is going to have levels based literally from games on Nintendo mobile consoles.
Right. So a whole bunch of DS and 3DS fighting stages will be present in the 3DS version. As for in the Wii U version, it'll be things like Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword, and such that you'll be fighting
Like
in.
things from the Wii, the N64, and I wouldn't be surprised if the 3DS version has some revamped Game Boy Color.
Oh, like Star Fox 64 or things like that. It'll, like on the 3DS, that'll be
You'll have a lot of
stage.
options when you get this game.
Yeah, I actually seem to recall in one of the videos I was watching, like an 8-bit or 16-bit stage for the DS. I think that's kind of an interesting concept. Another thing that I heard about it is that we can count on 60 frames per second for the DS or for the 3DS rather, including in the 3D mode as well. So that's
pretty.
something to look forward to. And on top of the stages, the comments about the stages, my understanding with that also is that they're going to be different from the Wii U altogether. So you're not going to be playing on the same stages that you would on the DS as you would on the Wii U. But
all the characters will be all the characters will be in both versions,
right.
Which I think is completely fair.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean, like, oh no, there should be a difference. No, there shouldn't. Why would you say that?
While on a personal level, I definitely agree that there should not be a difference in that because I want to be able to get the same kind of content. And the stages is not such a big deal, but player-wise or characters-wise, that I like having that same option. But at the same time, when other video games and fighting games have utilized that sort of functionality in other video games and other consoles, they've used it as a selling point. Like wasn't Zelda, or I'm sorry, not Zelda. Oh, blasphemy! Wasn't Link a fighting character in
the GameCube version of Soul Calibur?
Yes. Yeah, and then for the other versions of Soul Calibur, they had other basically bonus characters, and that kind of makes it an interesting selling point because for other consoles, if you want to play other characters and you want to play Soul Calibur, you buy the other console and you buy the other game for the console.
I think that's going to be more of like publisher discretion.
Right.
Like, hey, buy it on our console so you can get this guy. Woohoo!
Sure, but Nintendo could have used the same concept and applied it to their mobile platform versus their console platform.
I think they're already trying to do that with the stages. Like if you want to play on a certain stage, make sure you get it for your 3DS.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm getting both versions just because I'm a super hardcore fan. I mean, just going back, the first time I saw the original Smash Brothers, I was blown away.
Would you say that you were smashed by it? Maybe?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Fanboy alert.
Yes, I am a fanboy, and I have to say that the Smash Brothers series, I'm just diehard. I mean, something about it. I just want to master it a lot, like it a lot. It's really good. Let's see here. So, is there anything else? Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think we actually covered the Smash Bros. Content pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I like that.
Awesome. I'm glad. All right, then we'll take a small little break here. We'll play 2 songs. This next one is I'm Alive by Shinedown. And we'll be right back on the Nerd Edification Hour on Alternation Radio. That was Once You Gone from Portal 2 soundtrack. That was GLaDOS singing it. Now, we will, this is the Parents' Corner. So, all the parents and even the kids, listen up here, pretty please, if you don't mind, that is. We are going to talk about something super serious. So I'll now put my seriousness hat on. It's a little dusty, but I think it'll fit still on my big head. So, let us begin. What have we got?
Okay. I don't know if you guys have ever been like in a store buying video games and you're looking at the cover and you see this little box in the bottom right-hand corner, also on the back in a rectangle box, and it has some letters on it. That is the game rating. Like movies have, they're PG-13, PG, G, that sort of thing. But games have ratings too. And before a game's release, it goes through a ratings process, and they assign a rating to the game according to the content. Today I'm going to go over the 4 common ratings for games. They're pretty easy to recognize, and I hope this is going to be pretty informative and help people make decisions on whether or not a game is appropriate to buy for their children, for themselves, etc., etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first rating that, it's the smallest, most harmless rating on the planet. It's EC. It stands for Early Childhood. And what that's about is it may be suitable for ages 3 and older. So if you have a toddler and they want to play a video game, get them this. Because It's usually very educational. There's no material that parents would find inappropriate. It's, say, your kid watches Dora the Explorer and she wants to buy a Dora game. That's the rating that's going to be on there.
And you
There
got to
you go.
buy it. No swiping.
Yeah,
Yep,
no swiping.
No swiping.
No swiping.
No swiping.
The next rating up is E, and it stands E for everyone. Literally,
For
usually,
everyone.
most people can think it's for literally everyone from ages 9 to 92. Well, not really.
Well,
but
It's basically like, it's not EC where, say, someone like me isn't going to sit down to play a Blues Clues game and I'm not going to pull my hair out because it's where's the paper? No, where's the paper? Ah, it's not not super simple, but it's for everyone. Things like basically like a Mario game.
it has a little bit more advanced language. It actually requires more reading skills, whereas EC does not. It says on the website, on the ESRB website, that E for everyone may be suitable for ages 6 and older. Titles in this category may contain minimal cartoon, fantasy, or mild violence and or infrequent use of mild language. And what they mean by mild language is it's low frequency or intensity like words, and it doesn't get much, kind of like when you're on Cartoon Network and they say the word butt and they laughed about it. That's pretty much, I think, the extent of it.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like on the side of the big letter, there'll be some miniature little descriptions. Like, well, we'll get into that later. But yeah, some. So if it has mild language in it,
It's going to say
right
that.
next.
If
Yeah.
there's specific things that, they can pinpoint that are in this. And on the back, if you look at the rating, it'll say E, and then next to it will be some words. It'll be like mild language, minimal cartoon violence, or animated blood, stuff like that. And it'll tell you exactly what's in there. The next rating above that is called Everyone 10+. In comparison to the other ratings, this is actually a relatively new assigned rating. It didn't exist for a long time. But then the ratings board people realized that some games are pretty much E for everyone, but we should assign 10 and older just because it could have more cartoon violence, and it's way more than mild, but not so bad that it's T or mature.
Yeah. Well, going into that E10 plus, what I found out is sometimes it doesn't even have to have any of the language or violence in it. None of that cartoon violence, but instead it's like difficulty level.
Yeah, that's one of the factors, yes, but mainly the ratings is not only going to be on the majority of it is content over difficulty. The big staple of E10 Plus is there is mild suggestive themes, which means it's not necessarily sexual, but it's enough that children will probably ask their parents, "Hey mom, hey dad, what does this mean?"
Also, talking about the mild suggestive themes real quick, it could be, I think, also suggesting to say, hey, this is what what a woman would look like, something like that.
It might have,
do you
they
follow?
might have more curves, I'd assume. It's,
yeah.
It's imagery, mainly, more than
the
language.
shaping of their ideal other person, or say like even women or young girls playing games, and they see this big strong man, and mostly that's most of the characters in games. Anyways,
Right. Another important rating to talk about here is something that you normally don't see actually on the box itself, unless it's what's called a pre-release title. They've already released the cover art, but they haven't released the game itself. And on the front of the case, you'll actually see something that says RP. It doesn't stand for roleplay, not in like RP and RPG. It stands for rating pending. And what that means is that that particular game has been submitted to the ESRB and is waiting for a final rating, which means it's going through the ratings process. They're still collecting data. And this, like I said, the symbol's mainly going to be in an ad. I mean, you even hear it in trailers. This game has not yet been rated.
RP.
RP,
Rating
there
pen.
you go.
It's kind of like a movie trailer. It's like, this trailer is for all audiences, but the rating is pending. Like, it'll have that really small words, really tiny. So, it's like everything else, it has to go through a process, and
Yep.
this is for your benefit.
It is indeed for your benefit. There are some more ratings, but we're actually going to go over those next week because they're a little bit more in depth and a little bit more harder to explain.
I'll definitely be emotionally fired up for that one.
Yeah.
But
if you guys would like more information on this, you can go to www.esrb.org, and on there you can look up full content descriptors, full information on ratings and the process and everything if you're more curious about that.
You know, I really like the idea of having an in-depth rating system for video games. You know, for a long time as a kid when I was growing up playing with the original Nintendo, we didn't have a lot of these ratings. I don't think we had any of these. I don't even know when they were established, but I don't recall them. But
I'm sure it says on the website when they were actually established, but I know in comparison to the other ones, E10 Plus is the newest one.
Right. Yeah, I just like the idea behind it. It's nice to know that, you know, a conscientious parent can make sure that their child or children are exposed to the type of material or content that they feel is genuinely most appropriate for their kids. I always hate hearing about, you know, some 11 or 12-year-old playing, you know, Call of Duty or something like that. You know, when you're playing video games that don't just have suggestive or cartoon violence, that actually has blood, gore, and, you know, legitimate representation of death, it's a shame that a child can be exposed to that, and that the parent is confused because they don't feel like they understand where it came from.
Right. These ratings exist not only to educate parents but children too, and it gives you an idea not only of, like, you know, the content as of, like, whether it's suggestive or really gory or whatever, but it can give you, like, if you don't know what the game is about at all, you kind of have an idea just from the content descriptors. Like, you have no idea what a game's about, there you can find no information on storyline, and boom, you know it has intense violence or something like that.
Sure.
I do enjoy the what are they called? What's the, like, mild language? What are those called?
Mild language?
Is there like a definition for them? I want to be a
Expletives?
I mean, the descriptions of why this rating is the way it is. Like,
well, language on the content descriptors it says mild to moderate use of profanity. Now that doesn't necessarily mean curse words, but it can.
okay, so descriptors, it's what they're called.
Yes,
right?
content descriptors.
I do. Sorry, one sec. I mean, not sorry. Okay, I do enjoy the descriptors because say, like, this game is rated E10, but why? Like, so if you see, like, mild language and you don't want your child to be exposed to that, that's the reason. So
yeah, and another interesting thing that I actually just learned in the past few months is if, say, you're playing an online game, online games actually have on the case, it says online interactions not rated by the ESRB. So this means that anything that happens online, like being called a noob or any profanity that's on there, they're not in charge of rating that. They acknowledge that it may happen. This notice warns people who intend to play the game online about possible exposure to chat and the profanity that can occur there.
An addendum to that is I know a lot of games that have dual roles in the game playing system, in the game playing world rather. You know, some games come out and they're intended for offline play as well as online play. So a lot of times you'll find that they're rated for offline play, but online interactions specifically are stated as you said. You know, they're not. They're constantly in a change, constantly in a state of flux, constantly changing all the time. So the ratings don't apply to that particular situation.
They just let you know it happens and they warn you about it, and that's your call whether you want to expose them to that.
Yep. Even the lowest, like massively multiplayer online role playing game. I've only heard a little bit about it, but like Club Penguin.
Neopets.
Okay, yeah. But if somebody says something, somebody uses an expletive, their system is going to ban them and take care of that. But your child is still exposed to it.
Yeah, and what's kind of cool in some online games, I'm not sure which ones, you can actually turn off the chat as part of your parental control on whatever console you have. You can turn off the chat completely, so they just play online and they play the game online against other people, but they don't hear them talking or anything like that. Now, some people feel that it detracts from the fun of it, being able to talk to other people online, but really, you got to weigh the options between, do I want to expose my children to the possible things that can happen online, or do I want to just make it a little bit more fun from them? It's a slippery slope.
Right.
It's around maybe 13 years old. When they get into middle school, they're going to be exposed to that stuff anyways. So, so maybe around 13 years old, you can say, hey, you want to go play an MMO? That's fine. Just don't do anything
It
stupid.
depends on the parents and where
Yeah.
you grow up.
Right,
Really. It's
yeah.
parent
Really?
choice.
Yeah,
If
that assumption is valid in so much as if you abide by a lot of typical morality conventions, that sounds about right. But there are people and places where you're not going to be exposed to that, and
Oh, exactly.
People aren't exposed to some of the harsher realities of life until a later age. So it's not always fair to assume that, but. I do like that video games have the capacity to turn on filters and whatnot. I know World of Warcraft has a profanity filter,
Yes, it does.
and it's pretty effective.
Yeah. So in any case, we'll go over the last 3 next week because they're a little more in depth. So we hope this
Ooh,
helped you
yes.
out.
That'll be really fun next week. So now we will take another short little break here, and the next song coming up is Stardust. So, sorry, one second.
Enjoy.
Yes, indeed, enjoy. And you're listening to the Nerd Edification Hour on Alternation Radio. You are listening to the Nerd Edification Hour on Alternation Radio. That was Black Veil Brides in the End. I like that song very much. So we have plenty of news topics to talk about. So let us begin. First order of news business. It is... Alright, so the Xbox One is getting another update. And I think something about a controller update as well. Bryce or Rachel, can you...
Well, for those of you who don't know what the Xbox One is, it is a new next-gen, well, now it's current-gen because it's already out, console from Microsoft. It's a really, really high-end graphics. It looks almost real. It's really cool. But it came out in November, and since then, it's been going through a continual update process to improve the stability of the console and how it operates. I don't know, I heard about a controller update, but I think it has to do with... it not randomly disconnecting.
That would help, wouldn't it?
That sounds awful.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing worse than that. Controllers used to give out all the time. But I know that there's a game save progress bar that's now going to display when syncing cloud game saves.
Well, I don't really have an Xbox One, but I guess that's slightly helpful.
Well, what it means is, like, they now have a certain thing on their console, a service that you can save your games to the cloud, which means any save progress you have, like if you got to a certain point in the game and you saved it and you don't want to store it on your console, you can also store it in the cloud as kind of like a backup. Say your console explodes and you need your game saves. The cloud is there to help you.
So exploding, is that the next Red Ring of Death?
I guess so. I don't know if you guys have seen those videos online of the Xbox One making those weird noises, but it literally is like, grrr, grrr. It's bad. It's terrible.
Oh.
But it only happened with a really small percentage of it.
Well, so it also has a game DVR video quality. I'm not exactly sure what that's all about.
If you record your games and upload them to services like YouTube or Twitch, the quality of the recording has been improved.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's nice. I don't have an Xbox, and honestly, I really don't have much interest in getting one. But
Yeah.
I do have a friend who plays a lot of Xbox games, and he does the Twitch thing. And I'd like to check them out every now and then just to see if there's something that I might actually be interested in.
Well, I mean, what's really cool about this new console, instead of buying a game recorder software like a game DVR separately and connecting it up to your TV to record it, this actually, the Xbox One has one included in the system. So if you want to record something like, say, you do this awesome thing online, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I want to record this. You hit a certain button on the controller or on the menu, and it records your last
30 seconds,
last
maybe?
30 seconds, last 5
Yeah.
minutes of gameplay.
Oh, nice. So it has
yeah.
an active buffer of video recording
Yep.
going. That's
Yep.
nice. That's a nice
I see a
feature.
lot of video game recording software doing that, actually, which is, so say if you forgot to record something, you say, oh, well, I got 5 extra. So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's really useful to people that already do like playthroughs on YouTube and stuff, because now instead of using, well, they probably still use their game DVR, but they have that extra option. Okay, The next thing I think was online friends notification. You can filter through notifications to all friends, like see only ones that you want to see. Like if you have people on your friends list who are just random people online as opposed to your actual friends, you can be like, hey, I don't want to see these notifications.
Yeah, really. It's like, hey, come play with me on GTA 5.
Or you could just disable the notifications altogether, which is nice.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Another new feature, manually install available updates. So if you the update thing, like if you actually have time to update, you can just say, yep, I want to update right now instead of automatically, oh, I see. So if you don't want to update,
Well, it's not
right
going to give
now-
you the option yes or no. It just, if there's an update available, it will let you know. It won't offer you an option. But if you want to install it, you can go under settings and the system will display a button that says apply available system update.
okay, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but
I
you
don't,
can
I don't
also
own an Xbox
well, you
One,
can also
so-
enable auto update as well, which will totally bypass that altogether.
Right. Another new ability, another new thing, a new ability to automatically redeem a license code from a console message. So that's interesting. So if you buy a game online, they send you an email, you can just redeem it from there. Is that what that's saying? Or
Yeah, future console messages include a 5x5 license code. It's the code that allows you to play the game. So a lot of times if you are installing a game, it'll ask you for a code. Kind of like on a PC where you have to put in the number on the back.
Instead of punching in the key, you've got to. It'll automatically populate that
Yeah,
information.
so instead of having
That's
to
smart.
copy and paste the license code, it'll just be like, oh, yeah, okay, we recognize you have this, so yay, there you go, whoopee.
woo!
So simplicity as opposed to complicated.
I guess so. So, moving on to the next part of news, Bruce Lee will be in the next UFC fighting game, releasing June 17th. So,
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm not really into the whole UFC or fighting games at all, but Bruce Lee is really awesome. There was one other thing I wanted to mention that's not necessarily nerd edification related. CFI on campus, one of the clubs for Gulf Coast State College, the Center for Inquiry CFI, is having a car wash at Walmart on 23rd Street at 11 o'clock on Saturday. This goes towards the club and to actually, I believe it benefits the radio station. You might ask for some additional details when you get there, but definitely show up there and get your car washed and check it out.
Help our academic nerds.
Yeah.
woohoo! Academica. All right, moving on. Borderlands 2 is having some new DLC coming later this year, which is a prequel to Borderlands 2, which is
between Borderlands 1 and 2, you're on the moon. It's kind of cool. So, in case you're wondering why Handsome Jack is such a nasty, nasty person in Borderlands 2, you're going to find out why. Apparently, in this pre-sequel thing, as they like to call it, the space thing has crashed on the moon and you have to help him. So, you get to work for Handsome Jack. How about that?
Yay.
For more information, just go to IGN.com and look up Borderlands pre-sequel, and they have a whole article about that.
The pre-sequel?
Pre-sequel, yeah.
Pre-sequel.
I have no idea why.
Squeakle.
It's
It's
kind
a
of an
squeakle.
interesting little thing, you know?
Nice.
Interesting.
So it also has jetpacks, I see.
Jetpacks.
Yes, jetpacks.
Jetpacks.
Jetpacks are important.
I'm excited just for that.
You're on the moon, guys.
But jetpacks.
The
jetpacks.
moon.
But jetpacks. If we have jetpacks on Earth, like being on the... No?
No, jetpacks.
But
only.
jetpacks.
Yep,
we can
there,
fly.
there will be jetpacks.
That's all that matters.
So the last thing, Disney Infinity, blah blah blah. Try again. Disney Infinity will have the Avengers as playable characters soon. I saw the teaser myself on YouTube, so that was.
For those of you who don't know, Disney actually owns Marvel now, which is why they're allowed to do that. Disney Infinity is kind of like the Skylanders of Disney. It has these little figurines that you place on this kind of like portal thing, and it puts them in the game, and yay!
Yay! It's magically in there.
It's a really fun kids game, but I mean, I myself went to Disney back in December, and literally all the employees were playing Disney Infinity. The kids weren't playing it, the employees were. And they
Oh.
had like little testing stations in some of the shops. It was super cool. I didn't realize how awesome this game was, because it's super creative.
Yeah, it's like a giant sandbox.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Well, that will pretty much do it here on the Nerd Edification Hour on Alternation Radio. You can listen to this next week, same time. Also, on my YouTube channel, I will upload the podcast later tonight, and that'll be on Just Call Me C with no spaces. That's my YouTube channel. We'll be back here next week, same time. Stay beautiful, and thank you for listening.